should have worn more patriotic colors.
See, I wore my red.
I had mine. I literally, I even had an appointment this morning and I wore that shirt, and then I was randomly sipping water and it wasn't, I do this all the time, it wasn't on right. It didn't screw on right. And normally I don't care. It'll dry fast, but I mean, it was like a lot. Like I was soaked. So I changed.
So here we
There you have
are.
it. We're back.
Friday, yay! And we are about, right now, what, in the middle of the Olympics.
We are.
Right in the middle.
Watching. I guess a lot of people are not watching. The ratings are very low.
I've been watching, but I find it very entertaining. Well, not just entertaining, but interesting and educational, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Track and field at this point I don't even know when track and field
They
starts.
usually do that the second week.
Yeah.
Like that's the ratings grab the second week, and the first week's like the swimming and the gymnastics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last several Olympics. I think just because of like life and babies and things. But I really planned to watch more of this one, and we have it on here at the store a lot of the time if you come by. But the evenings are just busy. We don't sit and watch TV a lot. So I read the recaps and stuff.
Yes, and by the time I do sit down, I'm tired.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, what's happening?
Yes.
Dry up my eyes.
I try to stay awake, but I feel like the best events get later and later, and then I'm sleeping. But I do wake up the next morning and see what's happening on my phone.
Yeah, you get the spoilers.
Yes.
If you haven't watched.
So we were watching the other day in the store, and it was funny because we all have the same questions about certain sports. Like, a lot about gymnastics, and obviously we know a lot about track and field, but there's a lot of other sports like
what is this?
Table tennis,
also
ping
known
pong,
as ping
if you
pong.
will.
Yeah.
I don't think they would probably like it if you called it ping pong.
Probably
though.
not.
So
seems disrespectful.
Yes.
It's like saying jogging when people are running.
My mom asked me the other day, actually, what's the difference between jogging and running?
I mean, I don't know if our difference is the difference, but there's a difference. We had a whole show about that.
Yes.
I feel like. Intention. Yes, running with intention versus
just like slogging,
mindlessly shuffling. Yes, I think that would be the difference. There you go, Miss Joanne.
There you go. Yeah. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today are things we Googled about the Olympics. Do you sit and watch the Olympics and Google things? Because you watch these sports that you've never even really heard of, and there's these people that have dedicated their lives to it, and I feel like, what have I been doing with my life?
Well, we talked about this briefly because we worked together the day after the opening ceremony, so it was lots of chatter. What was your Olympic dream when you were a child? Did you have one?
I would probably say gymnastics, to do something with gymnastics, but I would be petrified. I didn't take acro. I was big in dance, but I was petrified to take acro because I would barely do a forward roll. So
that does make gymnastics difficult.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think I just enjoyed watching. It's like watching the Winter Olympics, and I liked ice skating.
Oh my gosh.
I was like your stereotypical little girl.
Shout out Dorothy Hamill,
yes,
wherever you are.
I would watch gymnastics and then ice skating. Those were my two favorite.
Yeah, those were the things.
And I guess maybe I just didn't even know how much else was out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you had your core things that you would watch. Well, I knew I could never do that. Ever. Ever. But I did go through a period of time where I was like, I'm going to be an Olympic cyclist because I liked riding my bike.
With training wheels?
No, it was a little later, so I was probably 9 or 10, but I mean, I would ride what seemed like long distances to me. It was probably 2 or 3 miles, places I wasn't supposed to go. I'd ride all the way to the video store on Chicago Road. I should look up sometime what the distance was from my house.
It's probably our dumpster run point.
No, it was a little further, and it was maybe through some seedier streets, but I thought that maybe someday I could. And now I ride the stationary bike in the gym sometimes, and I'm like, ugh. So no, that was never going to happen. But yeah, the Olympics, they're just a fun time, and they're less in the atmosphere, I feel like, than they used to be, probably because people's attention is so divided with what they watch and stuff.
Yeah, and everything just going on in the world. Like, I feel like Olympics is usually front and center, and now this year, like, so like, oh yeah, the Olympics are on. Yes.
So anyway, we decided to share with you 6 things we Googled about the Olympics. So let's listen up, have some fun.
And we also have answers to our Google questions.
She mostly does. I kind of dropped the ball on that, honestly. I was like, well, this is funny. Let's do this. So, okay.
So if you've been watching Divers, which is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
But, like, I always wonder, why do they shower? Like, they do their crazy dive into the water, and then they jump out, and then they shower. And I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, what is that about? I mean, I know, like, at the beach, like, as soon as I get off the sand,
yeah,
I clean my feet off. But, like, why do they do that?
Is it like showering before you get into the pool?
So the reason is because of the extreme temperature differences. So the shower kind of keeps their muscles loose and doesn't have them cramp up and tighten up. So yes, because then they have to go shortly after and do another dive. So the constant in and out of the water, I guess, would mess. I said water.
I love how she says water
from
Her
New York
accent.
It would mess up their muscles. So to keep their muscles loose and everything kind of the same temperature, that's why they shower right after they get out of the pool. Didn't know.
The more you know. Well, I have a sidebar Google to that, which I told you about. So Sunday we were in a restaurant with the kids, and diving was on, and I started telling my girls about Greg Louganis. And you're 6 years younger than I am. She did not know who he was. So growing up in the 80s, like, Greg Louganis was he was a Wheaties box Olympian, gold medal diver for the U.S. I think he won the gold at least twice, but maybe 3 different Olympics. And in the early 90s or the mid 90s, he came out as an athlete with HIV. It was a very big deal. So I'm telling them all about him and how much my mom and I had a crush on him because he was so cute. And I'm like, is he still alive? I honestly couldn't remember if he got ill from HIV and died or if he was still alive. So I Googled, Greg Louganis, of course, and he is still alive. He's 60 and thriving and still very, very handsome. So Greg, if you're watching, go you. You are the best ever.
Maybe he'll watch our little show that we do.
He'll hear about it somehow, right? If you guys share it, you never know what will happen.
Just keep sharing.
Make our sidebar Olympic dreams come true. Maybe Dorothy Hamill will watch too.
Maybe.
Mary Lou Retton. Okay.
Okay, next. Trampoline gymnastics.
What?
We all know about, like, the main gymnastics, right? Where you have the floor and the vault and the beam, and then even men's gymnastics with the pommel horse
and rings.
Yes,
oh my gosh, I love those.
But there is trampoline gymnastics. And so it's
what you do in your backyard.
Basically, yes. I pulled up a video because I had seen it before.
It's crazy.
But Kelly has never seen it. So I pulled up a video to show her. And yeah, it's this giant.
It's not giant enough.
And they get really, if you've never seen it, Google it. Google trampoline gymnastics. And, like, they have a certain square that they have to stay in, like with a big X. So they have to keep jumping down onto the big X. And then they do all kinds of crazy flips. And
yeah. I will be Googling, has anyone ever landed not on the trampoline? Because I'm afraid of falling. Like, football bleachers freak me out at the high school. So they're so high, and if they miss the mark, it would probably be sort of hard to do, but you're flipping and twisting, and who knows? I also have no sense of direction. This is one of the reasons I'm not a trampoline gymnast.
Spinning in the air and completely lose where you are.
It's crazy. I wonder if it's aired yet. We'll have to know.
Yeah, we'll have to search for it. But that leads me to, like, so they have trampoline gymnastics, but then it's like they have, like, we were watching judo, I think. But then taekwondo came on, and what are the differences?
Well, the outfits, for one, they have all those target points in the vest and the helmet and the booties, and it was something.
And I'm sure that there's a lot of technique and training that goes into it, but for bystanders that don't know anything, it just looked like they were going like this.
Yeah.
moving on.
Oh, this was another
Moving on.
real-time one for us.
Yeah, so Saturday afternoon, they had water polo on. And, like, have you watched water polo? Those athletes are ridiculous. Like, first of all, they do, because we Googled it, they do have to tread water the entire time that they're in that pool. And the pool regulation depth for the pool is 6 feet. So,
well, I did some further reading because I'm still like, I can't swim very well. So, like, the whole thing just fascinates me that they're up that long. So, even if the pool is shallow enough for them to touch, they can't. And also I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it up on the screen, but there's a special treading step that they use. It's like not a bike pedal, but something that they use that's supposed to be more efficient or something. But it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Those periods are 8 minutes long.
And they just swim constantly back and forth and back and forth. And then the other thing that we Googled about water polo was the headgear.
Yes.
And the things covering their ears do have a purpose, and it's so when they get hit upside the head while they're treading water with and they get hit with the ball, that doesn't do damage to their ears. Like, we want, gymnastics, and you want it to be a cyclist, but like, who's like, I'm going to play water polo?
Well, I remember that too as a kid, though, thinking it was cool. That was like one of the sports we watched because it was kind of like soccer in the water, but I literally never comprehended the fact that they're having to keep themselves afloat. Like, that was something else we were joking about the other day. Like, are there floaties and there's swimsuits? Like, what is happening here? No, that is pure athleticism.
It's amazing.
It's serious endurance.
So that's another one. You have to watch trampoline, gymnastics, and then watch some water polo as well. And you will just feel like, what are you doing with your life?
I need to do more.
I know.
Just calm down. We'll be fine. Just do something.
Just do something. That's right. What is Dawn's new thing? Do something every day.
Every day, yes.
So do something every day. It doesn't have to be treading water for
8
however
seconds.
long.
I could maybe do 8 seconds.
Okay.
So that opening ceremony, though.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, next. And so my family, my dad, because he was a volunteer firefighter for the 1980 Winter Olympics that were up in Lake Placid.
Cool.
So he has a lot of cool stories. But I grew up watching the opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
And I feel like even after all so what am I, 38? So figure out how many Olympics that is. And every Olympics, I watch the opening ceremonies. And every Olympics, I'm like, where did that country come from?
Well, I mean, some of them change. But yeah, so this is how it went down for us. So I was watching with, some family and friends, and I was sitting next to my brother from another mother who is 66, and here I am 44, and then like my kids are in their teens. So there's just one. Now we were all slap happy and tired, work day and stuff, but we're wanting to see the United States, of course, and it's just dragging on and on, and the commercial breaks and all the stuff. And I'm like, okay, like when I was in school,
many moons ago,
back in my day, I'm like, weren't there only like 150 something countries? Because they said how many were represented. And Luis, my bro, he goes, when I was in school, there were only 37. It was so funny. But I'm serious. Every sixth country on the screen, I was like, I have literally never heard of that before.
No idea. Like, how do you Tanzania? I don't know. It's a country in northern Africa. And the other thing that interested me was like when you looked at like the population, and like some of the population, like they have like 8,000 people in the entire country. And then they have, it's amazing. They only have like 3 Olympic athletes, but when you compare that to the overall population, it's like.
But then you had countries with a bigger population. Like Iran was very notable to me because I think they had 4 or 5 athletes represented, and I was thinking that's got to be hard for them because Iran is, we'll say, popular.
Yes.
So for it to be such a small team, like that has to feel some kind of way, is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
The human stories behind all of that, I think we only see just the very minimal depth of that.
Yeah, and like those people coming from those countries, they are rock stars. When they go back, like even if they don't medal, even so, they are rock stars in their own right in their countries because like that, you know, there's so few of them, and it's just amazing. I mean, what did they have to overcome to get to that point? I'm sure it wasn't
Can't
easy.
imagine.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
So speaking of weird things, not weird things. Okay,
weird.
so
I'll say it. It's weird.
what is the ROC? Have you been really watching the Olympics,
no
and
idea.
have you seen the ROC? So do you want
It's
to?
not The Rock.
No.
It's not Dwayne Johnson.
No.
It's not an
Although
energy powder.
I do love Dwayne Johnson.
Rock tape. There's rock
Yes.
tape. It's not any of those things.
Could be a lot of things, but it's not.
It's not.
So what is the ROC?
Russian Olympic Committee.
Yes. So we Googled that, of
Of
course,
course we did.
because why not?
Hence the title of the
Yes.
show.
And so it turns out that Russia got in trouble. I forget how many years ago, but there was a doping thing, and so they got banned from international competition for, I believe, the next 4 years. So
Like 4 years or 4 Olympics?
I believe it was.
Google it.
Google it. Anyway, they didn't want to penalize, though, the athletes that had nothing to do with the doping scandal.
Just fair.
So they came up with the Russian Olympic Committee. So
You have to do that.
yes,
when
they
you
have
say
to
it.
do that. It helps. So they're technically from Russia, but even when they win gold medals, they don't play the Russian national anthem.
Do they play anything? There is so much that is Googleable
I know.
about this. Like,
There's just so much.
how
like,
did they get
it's
there?
just-
Like,
yeah, it's so crazy.
did they wear the flag on their uniform?
No, that's another thing. They cannot wear they have their own little symbol, but it's not, it has nothing to do with Russia.
They could like rise up and form their own nation. That would be a cool, like, you know, Marvel
Sounds like a book.
movie. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, let's take. I don't write that kind of stuff, but somebody should.
But somebody should, and give us credit for it.
Yeah.
So there you go, the ROC. So I feel like there is a lot of history. Maybe Daniel Brass, because he's a big history buff. Although he likes American history. But maybe, I feel like...
Sports,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
He probably knows a little
He
something,
probably
something
knows
about it.
this. It's just so interesting. And I wonder, like, how it feels. Because they're kind of like, I don't want to say homeless, but they don't have, like, a country.
Yeah. And
Like-
Russia used to dominate a lot of
Yes,
things. so-
like we were talking about, like the athletes from those smaller countries, and they're rock stars in those countries. I wonder if the Russian athletes, the ROC athletes, go back and if they're just like, meh.
I don't know. It probably it depends. I mean, there's so many questions about Russian culture. I have no idea, other than like Rocky IV and the Americans. That's my,
That's it.
you know, some spy movies.
Yeah. Okay, so getting to number one, the number one thing, and she's just amazing, is Simone Biles. And
Everything about Simone Biles. We
Everything.
will Google. We will look her up.
I follow her. I stalk her on Instagram. And she is just a rock star. And so at this point when we are recording this, she did just pull out of the team competition.
Yes.
And originally they thought maybe she had hurt her ankle, but I think what is coming out to is she just mentally was exhausted. And so it'll be interesting to see what goes on, because she still can compete in the individuals and the all-around. This was just for the team, which kudos to the rest of the girls, because, you know, everybody has such a spotlight on Simone that the other girls stepped up and they still won a silver.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The ROC got gold. But tying this into running, you know, we put so much pressure on ourselves. I mean, even like running, like, you know, 5Ks. I mean, not to downgrade them or anything, but it's like we put so much pressure on ourselves. We put so much pressure on our kids. Imagine how much pressure Simone Biles
and
has.
the whole world literally is watching.
Yeah, she's the GOAT. She's the GOAT. And like, yes, she's amazing, but like, sometimes maybe we just need to stop.
Yeah, and I think it's very brave, and I hope more comes out about it. I mean, she's brave anyway for a lot of the stands that she has taken.
Yes.
But if it truly is like a mental health reason that she stepped down from this competition, I think that's something for all of us to learn from. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's your goal race or, you know, something that you've worked for a long time. If it's not if it's not what you need it to be when you get there, then it's okay, because it doesn't take from the journey. Like, we talked a lot about marathon training, and I still have this like little blurry dream cast in my head about marathon training. Like, those weekend runs in the rain and stuff, those are living in my head as like a good memory, even more so than the marathon itself. Because there was just something like sacred about that journey.
Something magical. Well, that's like the awesome 80s 5K that we just had a few weeks ago, and it was raining torrentially, and Dawn kept saying like, we're making memories, and it's so true.
It is true.
That, like, standing right before the race and doing the warm-up is like literally, I felt like I was in Flashdance, you know, when she's like...
Yes, she looked like she was too. You can see.
Because it was torrentially raining, and then to look out and see all those people that were following the warm-up, that will stand out in my memory even more than the actual race. So, so anyway, Simone Biles, tying it back is just amazing. I hope that her mental health, you know, no matter what happens the rest of the week, I just hope that whatever it is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and she will certainly, she could never perform another routine again
and still be
just
amazing.
Defy everything that's come before her. And this is coming from a girl who did actually have the Mary Lou Retton biographies and cereal boxes, and that was 1984. So you were just a babe. But she was the first American to win the gold in the all-around individual in gymnastics. And comparatively to Simone, I mean, Simone is amazing. So are you. So, if you were Simone Biles,
yes,
here's the culmination of this amazing career, and you're young, you're athletic. I'm sure that money is not necessarily a huge issue at this point. What are you doing after Tokyo?
Well, first I would probably go sit on an island.
Right.
I would throw my cell phone and any other technology where somebody could track me into the ocean, and I would just sit. Maybe run some laps around the island, but I would just sit.
Or, you know, do some flips in the air.
Yeah, just flip around, but no pressure. Nobody's watching. She could do whatever she wants. And then once I get that out of my system, I would probably take about a month. I'd be on this island.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think I might go into the gymnastics, but at the angle of more psychological, you know, making sure that the athletes are healthy. And with Simone and everything she's been through, and then, you know, her past coaches and all that drama, I think that she could really be a voice for a new generation of gymnasts and making sure that, you know, they're healthy. So I would go into gymnastics that way. So because, you know, like, if you have a passion for something, it's always going to be part of you. Mm-hmm. So in that way, Simone could always have gymnastics, but, you know, in a different venue.
She can help the people that she's paved the road for.
Yes.
She's an advocate for foster kids too, which I think is amazing. That's kind of a cause that just sort of gets forgotten sometimes. It's very close to home for me.
So what would you do?
I think I would go to Crazy Mason and get that milkshake that so sometimes for entertainment, Diane reads me menu items, in particular from Crazy Mason, who we are not being paid or sponsored by, but they're right over here in Market Common, and they have those crazy milkshakes, and it's like Nutella and bananas.
Yeah, and just reading the description, I didn't even know why this started one day. The most random things start with us. But so one day I just started reading you descriptions of their milkshakes, and they're very, not comical, they're just so big, and there's just so much into it that by the time you read it all through, it's like, it's just funny.
It's crazy. And it makes you crave things.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to have to eat my cucumbers now, because... Yay!
So you would eat a milkshake?
I would definitely do a milkshake. I think unplugging in some way, and I don't really know, like, what she likes to do to unplug. I know she has a boyfriend or a fiance.
Yes.
I think unplugging and, like, not having any expectations for myself, which is hard though when you're working toward a goal and all of a sudden it's over. Because again, sorry, I'm not name dropping the marathon, but I am, because it's the only thing I have to compare to. Like the period of time that was over, and you're like, what am I doing with my life?
What do I do now? Because so much of your life is consumed by that. So.
Yeah. So, and that happens with anything. There's that post excitement blues. So hopefully she finds some wonderful things to do to distract herself from that. And any other athletes who might be kind of retiring from competition after this, enjoy it. Like you've earned the break. Celebrate, no matter how Tokyo turned out, like they're watching.
I know.
Giving you a little pep talk from Aunt Kelly.
In case anybody cares.
But that goes for all of us, right? Give yourself a break sometimes. Yes. Celebrate the highs and then chill for a minute. And then, keep moving forward.
Yes. We all need to do.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys. See you next time.
Bye.